Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm For Classic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in here is the Falconeer, a game developed by Thomas Sala, and it is using Unity engine. So in case you are wondering, Thomas Sala, is this a developer team? No, this is a single guy. A single guy was able to build all this entire game over here. So it's insane. So let's take a look on the settings, because this is why you are here. So I'm running the game at 900p using median settings, and there is a frame rate toggle in here which you can select your maximum frame rate, which you can choose between 60 or 120. My recommendation for you it is to use 60, since it will be more stable. But since we are benchmarking in here and we want to know exactly what frame rate we can expect, I will be using 120. So the minimum requirements for this game, Thomas Sala, it is asking for an i3 or equivalent AMD, 2 gigs of RAM, so until now nothing special at all, but on the graphic side it asks for a GTX 660 or an AMD Radeon HD 6770. So it's not exactly beefy graphic card requirements, but I still think that the minimum requirements are a little bit higher than what the game really demands. So at 720p with my MX130, at median settings, I got an average above 100 frames per second, and the 1% low was above and beyond the 60 frames per second. While high or maximum settings, my average was about 60s, but the minimums were about 55, so it means that it might drop a little bit from time to time from 60 frames per second. So at 900p median settings, which is the exactly same settings that I will be using throughout this video, I got an average of 77, and again the 1% low was above 62, which means my experience was overall above 60 frames per second, while the high settings again provided some drops below 60. At 1080p, the median settings and the high or maximum settings provided an average below 60 frames per second and the 1% low above 30. So wrapping all these results together, if you want to have a perfect 60 frames per second experience, you need to go with either 720p median or 900p median. All the rest of the settings should provide you a good experience between the 30 to 60. So my preference it is to keep above 60 frames per second as much as possible. And despite at 900p median settings, I wasn't able to find places where the game did drop below 60. The thing is, I didn't finish the game, of course, so probably there might be areas where the game might drop below 60, but as far as I've played, I wasn't really able to find any of those places. So 900p median should provide an experience above 60 frames per second throughout the entire game, or at least almost the entire game. And if you really want to keep having above 60 frames per second, if you have drops at 900p median, you can try 720p median, and it should be fully okay above 60 frames per second no matter what. If you don't care about having fully 60 frames per second all the time, you can go with other settings, any other setting that you want. Even if you max out the game at 1080p and using maximum settings, your frame rate will still be able to be above 30 frames per second no matter what. So the game just runs fine, and it is possibly one of the if not the most optimized Unity games I ever seen, because despite this game you will only see like sea and some islands. The reality it is that there is a ton of volumetric clouds in here, there is reflections on the water, wave simulation, wind simulation, storms going by, so there is a lot of stuff going on, and this game just runs flawlessly without any issues while displaying this. So amazing work, Thomas Sala, for this technical game with excellent optimization. But now let's talk a little bit about the game and see if Thomas Sala really nailed that part or not. So the Falconeer, it is a game that it is pretty much focused on dogfighting. You also have this beautiful open world with a lot of water and small islands, but for the most part the focus it is dogfighting, and it is set in a fantasy open world with very good graphics, which is quite surprising again. that this was all done by one single guy. I can't really stop giving big props to Thomas Sala, so very good job, man, if you're watching this video. Although aside from dogfighting and exploring the world and finding some monuments scattered throughout the game world, which kind of gives you an incentive to explore the game world, you won't be doing much more than that. So the only disappointing part, it is really that. I think the game it is rather acceptable, and again, despite Thomas Sala deserves everything because of what he was able to do by himself in Unity while being fully optimized with a lot of high-end features like volumetric clouds, day and night cycle, wave simulation, and it is pretty much bug-free. Although there are some stuff that it isn't working pretty well, like for example mouse and keyboard control, so I highly suggest you to play on a gamepad, which, I mean, it makes entirely sense for the type of game that this is. So I don't think that it is a huge problem, although we are on PC and I know that there is a lot of people out there that don't have gamepads. So according to Steam users, this game can get pretty boring after 30 minutes because you already have seen everything that the game have to offer. And because of that, I think that the price, it is a little bit too steep, so the game costs $29.99, it's pretty much 30 bucks. Probably the game deserves the money. Again, Thomas Sala clearly deserves the money for his work, but, you know, for the game itself, it's a little bit arguable. So it's just my opinion, alright? I think that's $29.99 for the game itself. It is a little bit too steep, so unless you are really into dogfighting, into a fantasy world, it can make sense, alright? But apart from that, I don't really see $29.99 as a good price for the game. I do see, for the work that Thomas Sala have done himself, yes. But for the rest, well, it might be more of the same. But the decision, it is fully up to you. I think that actually what he was able to accomplish, it is great. And on the technical part of the game, you won't be disappointed with what this game have to offer, graphically and everything. But yes, exploration and stuff like that, it leaves a little bit to be desired, but yeah, $29.99, it is not a full AAA price, so yeah, it's fully up to you guys. So thank you a lot for watching, hope you keep enjoying the rest of the video, which is not much left, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
Shrine of the Sark. The drowned son was swallowed by a giant sark. He crawled up to its ear and asked why he had been swallowed. The sark replied, "Because in my belly you will be safe. Nowhere will your splinters be safer. There is no creature that would dare eat me. But I do not want to remain in your belly," the brother said. "But that is not true," the sark said. "If your kin buries you, you end up in my belly. If you fall from the sky, you end up in my belly. If your ship sinks, you end up in my belly. My belly is the only place you can be."
Good work. You were instrumental in taking out that pirate trash.